In 90 days, I'm leaving America for good and moving to Southeast Asia. Here's 3 reasons why. Reason number 1, affordability. I love America, but it has become so much more expensive over the last couple of years. If you factor in rent, groceries, and all of those other expenses, you're going to break the bank just to get by. My rent in America is $1,500 right now, and in a Southeast Asian country like the Philippines, the amount I pay in rent in the US would cover almost 90% of my monthly expenses. Reason number 2, culture. Everything is so polarizing in the US, from politics to relationships and everything in between. It just seems like everyone's being put against each other. When I'm in the Philippines, things are so chill and the culture feels so different. Reason number 3, peace and safety. I'll be honest, as a Black American, I've never felt unsafe while traveling abroad. However, there are a couple of times where I felt unsafe in America, and the Philippines is a complete 180. Now, I'm not saying you're never gonna run across bad people, but most of the people that I've come across were just friendly locals. But would you move to the Philippines? If so, let me know in the comment section below.
As someone who moved out of the USA when they were 17, I always get tons of questions about like why I moved, if I would ever go back, and yeah, I could talk about this for a really long time. I reckon one of my biggest motivators for moving away was definitely the cost of living. The cost of living in the US is absurd. Going to school or going to college there is just not, it's just impossible. My parents would have definitely supported me. However, I felt really bad when I looked into other countries and what they offered, and comparatively, it just wasn't worth staying in the US for me. I came to Sydney, Australia, and I've been here for almost 4 years now, and I absolutely love it here. Not only is the schooling here like incredibly cheaper, and I mean like probably 100 times cheaper. If I was going to be studying in the States, I would probably come out with maybe $300,000 in debt versus my entire degree here costs around $25,000. And I think the reason why people decide to stay in the US is because when you're 17, you have no idea what you want, and you get really caught up with the idea of the American college life, and the college parties, that you don't really think about how detrimental it is going to college and how it's going to be really expensive, and you're going to be paying off your student loans for the rest of your life, versus I'm 22 now and I have $0 in debt. I would say another reason, which isn't why I wanted to move to Australia in the first place, but it's definitely going to be the reason I'm staying. I genuinely feel safe here. On the topic of safety, I feel like there's a whole spiel on that. So, and I think I should make a separate video on that. But yeah, let me know.
One of the biggest reasons why I am moving my family abroad is because I became a mom. Personally, I've always wanted to live abroad. But once I became a mom, I realized how important it was to get my family out of the United States. After spending almost 3 months here in Portugal, it is very apparent how little we care about our children and families in the US. Let me explain. Here in Portugal, I don't feel shame for being a mom. Meaning if my child has a breakdown in public, no one gives me the stare. Everyone is so kind and so patient. On the trains, there's designated spots for those with children. Women who are pregnant or those with children are given priority seating. I've never had to wait in line when I have my child with me. Staff at restaurants and establishments always acknowledge my daughter, and they make her part of the experience. Even though my daughter is considered a lap child on the flights, she still gets her own seatbelt connected to mine. Children are absolutely valued and cherished here. They aren't seen as a nuisance. And in many countries in Europe, paid parental leave for both parents for up to a year is normal, when most people in the US don't even have access to 12 weeks paid. Since I've been here in Portugal, I send my child to school safely. I spend time with my family. There are so many playgrounds for her to play at, and so many family-friendly activities for us to do. Since living abroad, our family has experienced so much joy, peace, and ease.
We're moving to France in 2 weeks, and I'm freaking out a little bit. I mean, I'm super excited, but there's also a lot of stress because, yeah, we have a lot more to do. And there's a part of this story that I haven't told so far that I need to tell, which is the other's mind, right? The mind I have to fight in this process. And that's the sadness part. There's a lot of sadness in this, is that It's not all a party to say goodbye to the USA, to leave. Though we are looking forward to a better life, we're looking forward to the things that will be advantages. It's also leaving behind the broken dreams of the United States. And admitting this is not fun. Like, it's not like middle fingers up to the US, anything like that. It's oh my gosh, like our children live here and they're going to face those same problems, and grandchildren and our friends, and then also like this is our home, this is where we spend our entire lives. And just the process of admitting these issues that I've already talked about in other videos about food quality and health and care and cost of living and the political side of it, all those things is really, really difficult. It's not fun. It's not like, yeah, it's like, man, like, and to get to the point where we would even contemplate a foreign life, expatriating, it's unthinkable. Like, if you had told me 5 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, no, I mean, I like to go visit, but U.S. is my home. Why would I leave? And it's just different now. It's really to the point of like, the only path to happiness that I can see is not being here anymore. And it's not just about happiness, it's about health. And as my wife and I are getting older, that's really important. Like, we need to take really good care of ourselves because we don't have the resilience of a 20 or 30-year-old body, right? We're a little bit older than that. So, and we also just, want to live our best lives like everybody. So I'm in a mourning process. I know my wife is too. We don't talk about that part a lot. We do talk about it sometimes, but just like there's a mourning process we're going through of just this death. But death is change and transformation, and there'll be something good on the other side of it. And it's not black and white. Like, we will still come visit, we'll still have some form of a life here, but I just don't know what that's going to look like. And that's okay. Part of the discovery in this next step of the journey is finding out what that is, finding out what's out there, and then finding out what's left for us back here.
The US wants to make it seem like it's not easier to live other places than it is to live in the US, but that's not true. I'm just here to tell you that's not true. I've been living outside of the US for 5 months, and I can tell you from a first-person perspective, no. It's physically easier to breathe here. It's easier. I don't know if it's because the air is cleaner or because everybody is like stress levels down here instead of up here. I'm somebody that picks up on other people's energy, so maybe that's what's choking me out all the time. But I'm telling you, it is easier to breathe here. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in Northern Ireland. People are genuinely nicer. Like, I've heard that a million times and been like, okay. But like, no, people are actually nicer here than they are in the US. They genuinely seem to care about each other, even if they're not associated. Like, people are just more inclined to be kind, conscientious, accepting of other people. It's just an easier existence. People move with ease here. It's like everyone is unburdened by the world. And I have had a hard time adjusting to it, honestly, because I literally did not realize how fight or flight I was until I wasn't. It's almost sometimes like anxiety inducing for me because I'm used to such a fast pace of thinking, living, existing, working, doing all the things all the time, and not used to just like people taking their time. Just taking their time to do stuff. Nobody's in a rush. Everybody's just chilling. You get so many days off a year from every job here that like people aren't stressed out. They've had time with their families. Their lives are fulfilled. And like, it's just not the same. It's just not. And every place has their problems. And I know there's going to be some idiot in the comments that's like, oh, alcoholism in Ireland is a thing. Yeah, it is a thing. It's also a thing in America and pretty much everywhere else. Every place has things wrong with it. But the general vibe is just higher. Like, the vibration is higher here. It's safe. You can walk down the street and not worry about looking the wrong person in the eyes. Like, there's just an ease to it. It just feels good and safe and comfortable.